Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's class is all about unlocking the energy systems in the body with particular attention to the upper and lower chain. So we'll be looking at areas like the shoulders, the chest, the hips, and the back chain of the legs. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and take a time out in child pose as and when you need it. You ready to do this? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class coming to a kneeling frame. And if you find that kneeling is a little bit tough on the knees, take your mat, maybe roll it up double, give yourself a little bit of padding underneath the knees. Otherwise, you could use a hand towel underneath the knees. Come to a comfortable knees, feet soft and relaxed behind you, or you can tuck the toes under if you prefer. Place your hands gently on the hip bones and give me a neutral spine position. So allow for that natural S curve in your spine. On an exhale, I want you to tilt the pelvis up to the 12 o'clock position so that you feel a little stretch into the hip flexors and then relax. You're going to rinse and repeat every time, gently curling that tailbone in, almost as if you were trying to tuck the tailbone in towards the belly button. Sync that movement to your breath. A nice little exhale as you tuck the tailbone under. Inhale as you come to neutral. And you can play with the breath pattern, giving me a nice little ujjayi exhalation if you like. Almost compressing the air in the larynx so that it almost feels like you're trying to squeeze or depress the air through a straw. You're going to give me 2 more. And as you complete the last one, you're going to float your hands into Jupiter Mudra by interlacing the fingers, bringing the index fingers together and crossing the thumbs. Take a big breath in from your neutral spine position and float your hands overhead. Give me a little tuck of the tailbone, hold that tilt, big breath in. On the exhale, come just off the center line to the left. Inhale and come back to the center. Exhale, take it over to the other side. You're going to hold that little tilt of the tailbone as you gently take it off center. Keep lengthening your index fingers towards the ceiling. Try to really lengthen and stretch, not only out through the hips, but open up those little spaces between the ribs and really start unlocking the energy in the system. Give me 2 more. Last set. You're going to find your way from here back into a neutral spine position and take Jupiter Mudra behind your back. Really try to squeeze those 2 shoulder blades together, unlock and open up the energy in the chest. Keep that little tuck of the tailbone. You're going to nod yes, no, and come back to neutral. Tilt your tailbone, float the hands behind you, nod yes, nod no, come back to neutral, relax that tilt of the pelvis. Tilt, float the hands behind you, opening up through the chest, nodding yes and no, and then coming back to neutral. We're going to do that twice more. Tilt, nod yes, nod no, come back to neutral. Last one. Tilt the pelvis, nodding yes and no, and then gently unwinding and coming into Thunderbolt with the knees together and the feet together, sitting back on the heels. If this is uncomfortable, retain your kneeling position. Float the hands behind you. Once again, interlacing behind your back, but this time giving me a soft fist and just gently curving through the spine, opening up the chest to the ceiling. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, keep that narrow stance of the legs as you fold forward. So there is a little compression through the lower belly area and even into the chest as you fold forward. Gently just connect the forehead to the mat and stay here in your narrow child pose. Hands floated behind your back. Peel back up along the center line and then try to drop your fisted hands to the floor behind you and hold that front. Don't lean all of the weight into the fist. Think of gently pushing off the fist and lengthen through your spine, almost as if you were trying to touch the wall behind you with the head. Keep pulling the belly button softly into center. You're going to come back into your narrow child, or you're going to morph into hare pose. If you've got any neck issues, stay in your previous pose and just gently connect the forehead to the mat and try to open up the arms behind your back. Otherwise, gently roll the weight from your forehead onto the crown of your head and come into a soft kneel with the hips stacking softly over the knees. Keep pulling your belly button softly into center. And then gently uncouple the hands behind you and come into an extended child. Gently allowing the knees to begin splaying out. Big toes softly touching behind. Gently push into the palms of your hands and really sink the weight of your bum bones back towards your heels, taking a glorious stretch here. And then from here, you're gently going to peel up into 4-point kneeling and set up a comfortable stack. Sway your weight forward into the hands and back into the bum. You're going to gently sway back and forth. Keep belly button to spine, so keep softly pulling the belly button in as you gently rock the weight back and forth. And then we're going to play it up. Come back to neutral and sway side to side. So you're feeling a nice little stretch and an opening happening into the wrists, waking up the hips at the same time. And then maybe tracing a circular pattern. Maybe give me 5 little circular traces clockwise. Keep belly to spine the whole time that you're playing. And then take it into the opposite direction. As you play, try to identify where you're holding onto your tension today. When you find a tension spot, maybe hold it and then breathe through it. You're going to find your way from here into a neutral tabletop line. So the weight bearing, not leaning into the arms or the legs. Your weight distribution is equal on the arms and the legs, and try not to drop the head. Give me a long line through the spine and find a neutral tabletop line. Inhale to prepare. Floating your chin and your bum bones to the ceiling and hollowing out through the spine. And then on an exhale, round up, nodding your chin to your chest and getting a nice stretch into the shoulders and the lower back. Rinse and repeat, finding a rhythm of your own. Let's keep the cat-cow at a 1-to-1 inhalation to exhalation ratio. Keeping that weight bearing equal on the arms and the legs as you play. And even when you're hollowing out into the cow shape, I want you to keep control of the lower belly area by softly pulling the belly button into center. So you're keeping your abs engaged the whole time as you're oscillating between the two shapes. Ease your way back into a neutral position. Tuck the toes under, float your bum up to the ceiling, and find Svananda, blissful dog, by gently taking an almost soft rotational movement through the knees and the hips, just waking up the energy channels not only in the knees and the hips, but also along the back and the front chain of the legs. Then still your down dog frame, pushing into the hands, pushing into the feet, trying to wake up the back chain of the legs, maybe coming up onto the toes and then dropping the heels down to the floor, trying to wake up those little tight kinks in the legs. Keep belly to spine the whole time that you're playing. And then ease your way from here into a relaxed dog position. Think of bending the knees as if you were trying to draw the knees in towards your chest. Hold that frame. Keep your right leg connected to the mat. You're going to give me a little dynamic fire hydrant, floating your left leg up to 90. Think fire hydrant. And you're going to try to do that 10 times. Try to even out the weight distribution on the 2 hands and the 1 foot connected to the mat. Keep belly to spine the whole time that you're playing. Give me 2 more. Once you've completed your last one, You're going to find your relaxed dog and then lengthen out into a nice long plank line. Drag the weight forward over your wrists and back into your heels. Forward over the wrists and back into the heels. Give me 2 more. And then you're going to find your way back into the narrow child. Arms extended on the mat in front. And then morph into hare pose or stay on the forehead. So interlacing the hands, but this time as the hands interlace behind your back, give me Jupiter Mudra. And then see if you can roll the weight from your forehead onto the crown of your head, either staying here and taking a little time out in hare, or if you'd like, you can bring it to a little quarter headstand by dropping the palms halfway between the knees and the head. Tuck your toes under, float your bum up to the ceiling, creep your toes closer towards your hand line, and then bend through the knees, almost think child, floating the big toes together and dropping the knees onto the tricep area, so finding a comfortable resting spot. Try to lengthen through the neck, so try not to compress through the neck. Almost think of pushing off the floor and lengthening your neckline. Wherever you are playing, you're going to gently find your way back into child pose. Take a little time out. Allowing the arms to drape softly on the mat alongside your body, palms looking up to the ceiling. Just give the blood pressure a chance to stabilize. You're going to ease your way back into that down dog frame. If you need to, play blissful dog. If you need to open up those energy channels in the knees and the hips, find your down dog again. Push into the hands and the feet. Really trying to open up, working the front and the back chain of the body. Try to almost think of allowing your chest bone to touch the floor and float the shoulder blades together behind your back. Expand laterally through the chest. Then ease into your relaxed dog by bending the knees, thinking chest to knees, holding that frame or playing dynamically on the right with a little fire hydrant by lifting the knee up to 90 and then hovering the foot back to your start position, just hovering those toes off the floor. Keeping your relaxed dog frame and keeping that belly button pulled in towards your spine. Let's do 2 more. Then find your relaxed dog frame, hold it. And then lengthen through the body, easing your way and maybe wriggling the feet back into a plank line and rocking the weight forward over the wrists, almost balancing on the very tip of the first 2 toes and then pushing back into the heels. Drop to the knees. Coming back into child pose, either staying in child or floating the hands behind you, finding Jupiter Mudra, floating from your forehead onto the crown of your head and holding hare pose, or easing your way into a quarter headstand by placing the palms halfway between the head and the knees, rolling the weight forward onto the crown of your head, tucking your toes under, floating your bum up to the ceiling, and then creeping your feet closer towards your nose. Think child. Think of floating the big toes together as the feet come off the mat and the knees softly find a resting spot on the tricep, somewhere just behind the elbow line. Keep lengthening through the neck. Take a little time out here, getting a nice little inversion. And if coming onto the head and the neck is not for you, so if you don't want to play in either the quarter headstand or hare pose, just find your way back into the down dog and really drop the crown of your head to the floor and pike that bum up to the ceiling. Ease your way softly back into child pose. Wherever you are playing, just drape the arms softly on the mat alongside your body and give yourself a little time out here. Bringing the weight back onto your forehead, taking a mini time out, and then gently peeling up the center line and finding your way back into blissful dog, spin under. Finding that down dog shape, taking the movement through your knees and your hips. Keeping belly to spine the whole time. And then hold your down dog. Settle into your frame and try to hold it for anywhere between 15 seconds to 20 seconds at least. Try not to lean all of the weight into the heel of your hand. Almost think of clawing through the fingertips and feel that energy running through the fingertips, coursing through your wrist line, through the forearms, into the chest and the upper back and the shoulders. Try to drop the heels of your feet to the mat. Give me 2 more breaths here. And then gently find your way back into your plank line. From your plank line, you're going to come through the plank line with control. So drop your hips softly towards the floor, coming into an up dog with your toes tucked under. Try to really lengthen through the neckline. So push the mat strongly away with your hands. Strong through the chest and the shoulders. Brace your core and the tops and the back of your thighs. Then try to relax onto the forefront of your foot. So you're getting a nice little stretch and an opening into the front of the foot. And then think of softly flipping your feet to the right, stacking one leg on top of the other if you can, and peeking over that shoulder towards your feet. Then bend the bottom leg and find your way into a modified plank line, dropping onto the knee and the foot of the back leg, and then lengthening through the other leg, toe connected to the mat, and arms in a soft T-frame. Take a breather here. And then take a big breath in and extend that top arm overhead, almost trying to bring that arm as close to your ear line as you can and pierce the wall overhead. Keep pulling the belly button softly in to center. And then I want you to think dancer. Bend the knee of the top leg, run your hand down the chain of the leg, reaching for the bridge of your foot. Think of kicking the foot into your palm and resisting with the hand, and take a nice little stretch, almost as if you had turned tiger onto its side, yeah? All right, hold. Take that little tiger stretch. And then ease your way back into 4-point kneeling. Step your feet back. Find your plank line, nice and strong through the plank. Come through the plank with control, dropping your hips gently towards the floor. Finding a strong up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, strong through the arms, strong through the shoulders and the back. And then drop onto the tops of your feet and take a nice little stretch here. Hold. We're going to do that little sequence on the other side. So you're going to flip to the left, stacking one leg on top of the other and looking over the right shoulder. Then drop the bottom knee to the floor and find your way into a modified side plank. Parking the hips up towards the ceiling, almost pretending you've got a little ball underneath the rib cage on the left. And then try to extend that line, bringing the arm closer towards your ears and trying to touch the wall at the opposite end of the room. Really open up the energy channels in the ribs and the chest. Then think tiger from here. Bend that top leg, run the hand down the chain of your leg, reaching for the bridge of your foot. Kick the foot into your hand, almost arcing through the back, and resist with the hand, taking the little modified tiger stretch on its side. From here, find your way back into child pose. Take a little time out. Really push into those hands, sink the heels back. Ease your way from here into a down dog frame, and then take a little hop to the front of your mat. Playing with a little forward fold, trying to drop the palms to the mat, and then coming into a halfway lift and playing dynamically between the two. If the floor is not accessible for you, work higher up along the chain of the legs, maybe bracing on the top of your thighs, and then just float the hands down to a tabletop position and peel back up. So just play where you're comfortable. Dropping down, trying to sink into the forward fold, maybe holding for 5 seconds, and then coming into a halfway lift. Sinking forward, and then halfway lift. Check that your feet are stacking in parallel underneath your hips. Soften through the knees and peel up along the center line. Float the hands behind you, circling overhead to come down into active prayer. You're going to do that 4 more times, tracing a big circular pattern with the hands then coming down in active prayer. Tracing a big circular pattern, almost interlacing the hands as they circle overhead. And coming down in active prayer. Let's do that 1 more time. You're going to float your hands into Jupiter Mudra, interlacing your fingers, index fingers together and the thumbs crossed. And you're going to give me a big lunge back with your left leg. Coming into a high lunge line. Creep the front foot forward if you need to stack the knee and the ankle. See if you can float your Jupiter hands overhead, giving me a slight crescent shape through the back as you come to Anyanya Asana, crescent lunge. Keep lengthening the index fingers towards the ceiling, but soften the shoulder blades away from your ears. Then drop both hands either side of the lead leg. You can scooch up the back leg slightly if you need to, but keep your stance wide. Come to a wide pyramid. So it's almost going to feel like that heel on the back leg does not want to quite connect to the floor. Keep dropping the crown of your head down, almost thinking nose to knee or crown to shin. As you give me a wide pyramid shape, Paschimottanasana, really try to open up the kinks on both legs. So keep those legs extended. Then we're going to find our way into a rotated side angle from here, but we'll play it up. Bend the lead leg, wiggle back the back leg if you need to. Finding a high lunge line on the mat. Drop the left palm so that it stacks underneath your left shoulder and slowly float and rotate the right arm up to the ceiling. Either staying here or giving me big sweeping circular motions with the right arm, opening up through that shoulder. Keep pushing the weight softly back into the heel of the back leg so that your weight distribution is equal on both legs and that you're not leaning all of the weight into your lead leg. Find your way back to your stack with both hands either side of the lead leg, and then step the lead leg back. As you step back, try to step both feet together along the midline of the body and square up through the shoulders. Pivot to the right, stacking one leg on top of the other and opening up the top arm to the ceiling. Coming into a side plank, try to knife edge both feet and then keep the bottom leg where it is and step up the top leg, placing the sole of the foot firmly on the mat. Stay here, pushing strongly through the bottom arm, or give me big, full 360-degree rotation through the shoulders as you sweep that top arm overhead and back around. Keep lengthening out through the shoulders and the ribs as you play. Then drop down onto the hip of the bottom leg, allowing that arm to come down and touch the inside of your thigh. Float back up to the soft T-frame or extend all the way alongside your ear and then play dynamically between those two. Lifting your hips up to the ceiling as you bring the arm flush with your ear and then dropping down onto the bottom hip, but keeping that leg long and lengthened. Let's do 2 more. From here, we're going to find our way into a pigeon line. Rotate towards the mat, tuck the left leg in, finding the angle on the lead leg that works for you. So either knee and ankle in a straight line or tucking the heel closer to your perineum. Relax the leg to the floor, relax the back knee, relax the back foot. Slide the back leg away from you and try to square up through the shoulders and the hips as you find your pigeon line. If this feels really uncomfortable, take a block, knife edge it, and place the knife edge portion more or less where your bum crease is on the left and find a comfortable lean-in position for you. Either staying here nice and high or extending your pigeon for a bit and finding your way softly either onto the forearms or dropping even lower and trying to connect your forehead to the mat with the arms softly draped either side of the head. Keep belly button to spine the whole time. Try to square up through the shoulders and the hips. And then either stay here or float your way back into your high pigeon line and try to set up a king pigeon. You might need the block underneath your bum cheek here to help you find the position on the mat. So for the first round, I'll demo with the block underneath my bum cheek on the left. Square up through the shoulders and walk your left hand over to where the right fingertips are. Look over that back shoulder, bend the back leg and try to feed your hand around the foot. So you've got a little crook and you're pushing back into that hand. Then try to tuck the hand in even closer, peeling up through the inner thighs and trying to come up off that block if you can. Then feed the bridge of your foot into the little crook of your right hand, finding a little resting spot. See if you can interlace the hands behind your head, coming into a little pigeon bind and trying to give me a little bear grip through the fingertips. If the grip is not possible, maybe using a block or a strap, not a block, behind and holding on to the strap with both hands, or just holding the previous position and hooking that foot into the crook of your right hand. When you're ready to come out, unwrap. If you did have the block underneath your bum, just feed it out and gently place it to one side. Ease your way from here into a plank line. Sway the weight gently back and forth. And then chaturanga down, using the knees for support if you need to. Flow into an up dog, dragging the weight forward over your wrists and coming to rest on the palms and the bridges of your feet. And then easing your way into a down dog. Hold your down dog frame. Pause here for a breath or two. And then step or take a little hop to the front of your mat. And play dynamically with that forward fold and the halfway lift. Trying to drop your palms to the mat and then peeling up, thinking halfway, coming onto the fingertips and trying to lengthen through your spine. You can play up higher along the chain of the legs if you prefer. If your fingertips don't quite reach the floor. So play where you're comfortable. Then soften through the knees, peel up. Sweep the arms behind you and come down in active prayer. Play with that movement dynamically, tracing a big circular pattern and then coming down actively, pushing softly into the palms so that you can feel the arms, chest, upper back and shoulders are all connected. Last one. From here, we're going to find, or you almost think of a high lunge line. So take a big step back and float your hands into Jupiter Mudra just before you step back. Step back on the right and wiggle out the feet if you need to so that you're lining up the knee and the ankle on the lead leg. And then float your Jupiter hands overhead, trying to pierce the ceiling with your fingertips, but soften through the shoulders and the collarbones at the same time that you find that nice arc, Anyanya Asana, almost floating the two shoulder blades together behind your back and expanding laterally through the chest. Then drop the hands either side of the lead leg. Keep your right hand stacking underneath your right shoulder and float the left arm up to the ceiling. Either staying here or tracing a big circular pattern with that left arm, swimming it all the way behind you, almost as if you wanted to touch your bum and then sweep back to the front, giving me 10 big swipes or sweeps. We're going to find our way from here into a plank line and then take it into a side plank on the left. As you step that left leg back, look through the hands towards your feet and check that your feet are clipped together along the midline of the body. Then flip yourself to the left, stacking one leg on top of the other, knife edging your feet. Keep the bottom leg knife edged, bend the top knee and step that leg to the front of your mat. Holding this frame, lengthening through both arms or giving me big circular sweeps with that right arm. Keep your hips spiked up nice and high to the ceiling and keep belly button to spine as you play. Give me 2 more. Then we'll set up a pigeon line from here. Rotate. Tuck that lead leg in, finding the angle on the lead leg that works for you. Relaxing the back knee and foot, and then creeping or sliding that back leg behind you and thinking of squaring up through the shoulders and the hips. Once you find your position on the mat, either staying high or dropping down onto the forearms or creeping the arms out in front and trying to drop onto the forehead. Think of relaxing into the pigeon line. Keep belly to spine wherever you're playing. And really try to open up that tightness that you will be feeling in the glute and the bum and the hamstring on the right. Really opening up softly into the hips and the groin. Creep your way up. Find your way back onto the forearms. Setting up that king pigeon line from here. Creeping your right hand over to where the left arm was. Using that block underneath your bum cheek on the right if you need it. Bend the back leg, feed it in. Tuck it in as tight as you can, peeling up higher. So almost drawing up through the inner thighs and pulling that belly button in to center. See if you can tuck in nice and tight. Reach for that back foot and tuck it into the crook of the left arm. Float both hands behind your back and try to interlace the hands behind, coming into a little bear grip bind behind your back, or maybe using a strap if you have one at hand as you come into that little bind. Uninterlacing when you're ready. Ease your way back into your plank. Strong through your plank. Sway back and forth if you need to. Chaturanga down, finding your way into up dog. And you can keep the toes tucked under or find your way onto the bridges of the feet, whichever feels more comfortable. And then ease into your down dog frame. And pause here for a breath or two, pushing into the hands, sinking those feet down, really trying to get the whole foot to connect to the floor as best you can. We're going to come straight into a little deep squat line from here, Malasana. Softening through the knees and either stepping up one leg at a time or taking a bunny hop and landing wide in your squat line. So the feet are softly splayed out at 45. You're pushing with the elbows on the inside of the knees and you're trying to lengthen up through the spine. If taking a low squat line is not for you today, maybe coming up higher along the mat, splaying the knees softly out and placing the hands on the tops of your thighs, or pressing softly with the palms on the inside of your knees. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in. Play where you're comfortable. Then take your right palm, place the right palm on the floor on the inside of the right leg and float the left arm up, softly opening up on one side. If you're doing this higher up, place your hand on the inside of the knee and just float the left arm open behind you. Come back to your original line, pushing either with the palms or the elbows on the inside of the knees. We're going to work 2 more progressions. Float that right palm to the mat. This time, sweep or arc the left arm behind your back, reaching for the opposite hip. Rotate the palm in, grab hold of that hip, and try to look over the back shoulder to the floor behind you. Come back to your start position, pushing with both hands and opening up. One last progression. This time, try to wrap the right arm. I'm going to give you a front view first. Try to wrap the right arm around your leg, back of the hand, connected to your bum, and then float the left arm behind your back, trying to give me a little big grip behind your back. Hold that line. If you're working higher up, maybe just come to a bind behind your back and open up here, or give me a little interlace of the hands behind your back, and just think of your very first hair pose. Float back along the center line, hands in prayer. Keep your feet softly splayed out. We're going to come into a horse line from here. Peel up along the center line and pretend that you're picking up a big ball off the floor. Push it away from your chest and back to your chest. Drop down to the floor, pick it up, push the ball away. Keep the knees Softly splayed out, trying to keep the stack over your feet. We're going to do that twice more. Keep your tailbone tucked under, belly button pulled in. And then you're going to heel toe in and set up a tree line on the right. Bending your right knee and placing the sole of the foot on the inside of the left leg. Keep your current orientation on the mat. So you've either got the big toe connected to the mat, or you're bringing the leg up a little bit higher, just underneath your knee, or you're bringing it all the way up and finding a resting spot on the inside of your left thigh. Find your tree. Keep your gaze steady on the wall in front of you. Think of picking up that ball and dragging it in towards your chest and then pushing it away. Bring it in towards your chest and push it away. Keep belly to spine. Try to keep your tree nice and tall. Last one, you're going to float from here into dancer. Float the left arm alongside your left ear. Bend your right knee, think knee to nose, and run your hand down the chain of the leg, reaching for the bridge of your foot. Squeeze both knees in together, and then hinge forward at the waist. Don't hug the foot into your bum. Kick the foot up and away from your bum as you come into dancer, Notarayasan. Take it into a soft little forward fold. As you come into the forward fold this time, try to float the hands behind you, palms looking in, and try to hold onto the calves with both hands as you float your crown closer towards the floor. Or play with a little tabletop position, maybe holding onto the back chain of your legs if working low to the floor is not an option for you. From here, you're going to step or hop back into a down dog frame. Hold the frame, pushing into the hands and feet simultaneously, taking an awesome all-body stretch here, opening up all those channels. And then you're going to step or hop into that wide Malasana, that deep squat. Hopping, allowing the feet to softly splay out at 45, and find a foot line that works for you. So not everyone can take a narrow squat line. Play with a squat line that works for you, pushing with your elbows on the inside of the knees and really trying to open up through the groin. Then we're going to play with those 3 little progressions on the left. So you're going to drop the left palm to the inside of your left leg, take a big breath in, and float or twist softly to the right, throwing that right arm up behind your back. Try not to allow the knees to conk in, so keep pushing the knees away from the center line of the body. Float back to your original deep squat line, pushing your hands into active prayer, dropping the bum bones down towards the floor, lengthening through the spine, and pushing with the inside of your elbows. Drop the left hand to the inside of the left leg. This time, sweep or arc the hand behind your back. Rotate the palm in, reaching for your opposite hip bone, and really try to open up. Find your way back to your deep squat line. Push with the elbows and open up through the hips. Keep belly to spine the whole time. We're going to find our way into that little bind. Take the left arm, wrap it around the knee, palm looking away from you. Try to sweep the right arm behind your back and come into the bind. Keep dropping the back shoulder away from you and open up through that back shoulder. Give me 5 more breaths here, then we'll find our way into that little horse line. Unbind the hands behind your back. Pretend that you're picking up a ball off the floor, pushing it away from your chest. Keep your tailbone tucked under, belly button pulled in. Drop down, pick it up. Push it away from your chest and back to your chest. Drop down, pick it up. Push it away. Let's do 1 more, and then we'll find our way into that tree line. Heel toe in, dropping the arms softly at your side. Find a focal point on the wall in front of you and set up your tree line on the left. Either big toe connected to the floor or a little bit higher, or coming all the way along the inseam of the opposite leg. Think of bringing that ball in towards your chest and pushing it away. Ball into chest, push it away. Still yourself. Find yourself beautifully rooted through your supportive side. And remember that it's the stationary leg, the straight leg, that's pushing into the passive sole of the bent knee leg. From here, you're going to set up dancer. Think knee to nose on the left. Float your right arm alongside your ear. You're going to hinge forward. Think of kicking that foot into the backhand, squaring up through the shoulders and the hips, and then dropping softly into a little forward fold and trying to wrap the hands behind your calves as you fold forward into Uttanasana. Keep belly to spine as you're playing here. And try to keep the weight bearing equal on the balls and the heels of your feet. You can rock dynamically if you like, or just hold steady. Then soften through the knees. Ease your way into a plank line, either stepping or hopping back. Chaturanga down, using the knees for support if you need to. Find your way into an up dog, either toes tucked under or relaxed onto the bridges of your feet. And then ease into your down dog and hold your down dog. Try and hold here for at least 10 breaths if you can. Use it almost as you would recovery if you need to ease your way into child pose. Make sure that you stretching and opening up, not only through the arms, but also through the legs. Keep belly to spine, keep piking that bum up to the ceiling. And then ease your way from here into child pose. Let's play with a narrow child. So try to keep the feet and the knees in a soft parallel line and extend the arms softly on the mat overhead. So you've almost got a little compression through the lower belly area, working that digestive system. Arms are softly draped on the mat in front of you. If you need to open up your knees a little bit wider, please feel comfortable to do so. Make sure you start softening through the fingertips, the palms, the wrist, the forearms, the elbows. Soften at the shoulder joint and drape the arms like two wet noodles on the mat. Then from here, you're going to peel your way into Thunderbolt. So drawing the knees together and the feet together and sitting back comfortably on the heels, lengthening through the spine and floating your hands to a soft prayer position. You could also execute from a kneeling position here if you prefer. Close your eyes and take your focus in. Push with soft pressure through the palms so that you can feel the texture of the skin. Press a little bit harder and visualize the muscle and the flesh underneath the skin. Then begin visualizing the veins and the arteries that run through your flesh. Think of those as the energy channels or systems in your body that you've just opened up in the class, allowing the energy or the chi or the prana in your body to flow unhinged. Think of that energy system as a never-ending daisy chain traveling in a circular pattern. You've just flushed out all the little blockages. Energy system is beautifully open, and that energy is free flowing throughout your body. Tap into it for the remainder of the day at any time when your energy is low. It's there. Tap in. Take advantage. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's unblock session, unlocking and opening up those channels. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to shoot me your comments in the comments box below and subscribe to my channel with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for Pilates conditioning tomorrow. We're going to keep the body topped up over the festive season. I shall see you all then. Keep light.